Welcome to the Healing Spirits Here and There podcast with Terry and Amanda, where you'll hear spiritual perspectives, weird mediumship experiences, and try intuitive and trust-building exercises for yourself. Like and subscribe to never miss a show, and let's get started.
Good morning. Welcome to Healing Spirits Here and There. I'm Terry.
I'm Amanda. And today we have a very special guest on, Lynn Moddejonge, and she's going to be talking to us about moon phases, what we should be doing. I don't know a lot, so she's an expert. So let's get her perspective, and let's get her on right now. And Lynn.
Hello.
Good morning. And today we're having Lynn Moddejonge on. She owns an herbal store called Moddejonge's Herbals in Everett, and we have been long time friends. I've known each other for many moons.
It has been many moons. A great introduction.
Thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge with us.
Well, thank you for asking me. This has been a fun thing to do. I'm enjoying it. So talking about the moons, what I wanted to start talking about is not the moon, but the tides. The tides are a result of the moon exerting its gravitational forces on the ocean and bulging the ocean toward and away from the moon. So when the tide is higher, the ocean is higher at the location closest to the moon and on the opposite side of the earth. So as the earth rotates, the position relative to the moon changes, and so the bulge moves, and that's what creates the tides, the high tides and the low tides. Over a 24-hour period, you typically will see 2 high tides and 2 low tides. Now, the reason that that's important is because human bodies are made 60% of water. And the moons, while there's never been proven, there's been some studies that believe that the moon affects the human body in various ways, such as influencing sleep, mood, heart, brain, kidneys, and menstrual cycles, birth rates, and injuries. So historically, there are more children born on the full moon than any other day in the month.
Really?
Mm-hmm. If you talk to people from the police station or you talk to people in the emergency room, chaos is up.
Yeah,
on
definitely
on the full moon. It is, some researchers suggest that the moon's gravitational pull can affect the water in our bodies, causing changes in blood pressure, fluid balance, and brain activity. Now, the non-disclosure, not enough studies have been done to make proof positive, so this is just, a thesis. If you're magic, if you work with the elements and you work with energy, if you work with the moon, you're going with the tide. So if you've ever been swimming in the ocean and you tried to swim against the tide, you see how hard it is to make progress, as opposed to if you're swimming with the tide, where it's taking you and you're not having to do anywhere near as much work.
Yeah.
It is, that is one of the reasons that we look at the moon as often as we do to see where in the sky it is. There's 3 full phases of the moon. You've got the new moon, the full moon, and then, there's 4. So then you got the new moon and then the waxing up to the full moon. And then you've got the full moon and it wanes down into the new moon. So during the new moon time, what you want to be doing is building, making having your goal set and making progress on your goal. The full moon is the culmination of the moon's energy. It is the biggest part of that energetic cycle. And then when it's waning and it's going down to the new moon, what happens is you're supposed to be releasing. So things that you no longer want in your life. That's what you start working on that part. And then each cycle is different. Now, this particular month, we had a full moon on August 1st. The new moon will be August 16th. And then we'll have a second full moon on August 31st. That second full moon is called a blue moon because it's the second full moon in a calendar month. You never have more than one a year, and you don't have one every year. It just totally depends on where it falls. I mean, it has to be the last blue moon we had, I believe, was also in August, on the 1st and the 31st. It is, that's my memory though, so don't quote me on that. And because it was a while back as well.
Okay.
I think that there's a lot of lore about the moon. You're never supposed to cut your hair on the full moon. You are, I've never quite figured that one out. But planting. So if you're a farmer, back in the olden days, you would plant on the new moon. You would plant your crops that are above ground crops with outside seeds. So that would be like sunflowers. The seeds on the sunflower is on the outside.
I see.
To be honest with you, when I was thinking about that, that was the only example that came to mind. But the first quarter moon, that's when it's a half a moon. It is, and this is during the waxing, the growing part of the moon. You would do above ground crops with inside seeds. So that would be squash and tomatoes and
bell peppers.
Bell peppers. Yeah, peppers have inside seeds. So anything that has inside seeds, that's what you would do. On the full moon, you want to do your root crops. So those would be sweet potatoes, regular potatoes, peanuts, anything that grows underneath the ground.
Okay. Interesting.
And on the dark moon, which is the night before the new moon, you don't plant anything.
Okay.
So actually, you don't do anything on the dark moon, except if you want to do some kind of meditation. But any kind of magic, you don't do on the dark moon. It is, it's because the moon's energy isn't there. I mean, the moon is there, but we don't see any of the moonlight. And so that's kind of a thing. So if we are looking at a growing moon and looking at what it is that we should be doing during that time, the new moon is the maiden aspect of the moon. So it is the actions of the moon are for creation, inspiration. It's time to begin a new project, plant seeds of your ideas, push your energy towards renewal. It's all about beginning. So creating magic for a new start is what you want to do. The full moon is the mother aspect of the goddess. And that is the actions of this moon are the fruition and sustenance. It's releasing. This is the peak night of the goddess power. It is the high energy, very productive. Use this time for increasing your intuition, your healing magic, a closer connection with your higher power. and drawing down the moon to develop your magical skills. The waning moon is the crone. So as you get to the dark moon, that's the crone aspect of the goddess. The actions of this moon are fulfillment and endings. So completion of your earlier work, focusing on decreasing magic, eliminate negative people or toxic relationships from your life, working to smoothly end a relationship or a job, and rituals that banish bad habits.
Mm.
If the moon affects you, if you're one of the word lunatic comes from,
Whoa. Wait a minute. Time out. Because it affects
isn't that
me
funny?
so
Yeah,
bad. But I'm not a lunatic. Well, some might think so, right?
it is plan for that.
Okay.
You know, it's if it affects your sleep,
Mhm.
make sure that you have a relaxing day. Keep calm. You know,
Mhm.
take a cup of hot tea or something, and just be mindful. If you know the reason that you're exhibiting a behavior, it's easier to moderate that behavior. And it is so. The restaurant next door just got sold, and but the lady that owned it before would come over here and ask me periodically, what is going on in the sky today, because people are just nuts. And it is and it was interesting to me because she wasn't real certain about magic, but she got very comfortable with me and would start asking those questions. And again, if you know the reason behind a behavior, you can just say, okay, Mercury's in retrograde, or it's a full moon, or whatever, and just let other people's behavior kind of roll off your back a little bit. It
Right.
is, I always think knowing the reasons for something that is happening makes it a whole lot easier to handle. If you
Oh,
don't know,
absolutely. Yeah.
we've got amazing imaginations, and if we don't know, then we imagine, and
Yeah.
and we always imagine the worst.
Absolutely. Terry, were you trying to say something?
Yeah, because in the schools, like sometimes it affects children. It does, not sometimes. It affects some children. And there's not knowing that you're going into it before they have bad moods or whatever. You talk about this, the hospitals or the police or whatever. This is also as well as in the schools as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if I monitor the moons, because they affect me a lot, right? And they affect how I do things. So if I'm mindful about it and I plug it in everywhere I could see it, then I will say to the grandson, tomorrow is a full moon. Tomorrow is a new moon. I know what happens to his energy in those. So I'm trying to tell him to just be mindful and not, let things bother him as much. How would you try to find balance in the school with not knowing that this is happening? Not everybody knows what we know.
That's a hard one, because right off the top, this is not a mainstream behavior. Monitoring the moon isn't a
True.
mainstream behavior. And so, I think what I would do is I would go talk to the teacher and say, listen, whether you believe this or not, I know this to be true, that it affects me and it affects my grandson. And so if you, the teacher, could be aware of that, she might be able to be a little bit more proactive in stopping something before it gets too far.
True.
There are herbs for focus that you could give. I've got a tea that I call it ADHD tea, and
There you go.
And it's for people with ADHD. And it what it has inside is it has gotu kola in it that is nourishes the brain. It has hops that calms the brain, and it has peppermint, which focuses the brain. And that is the tea that I sell the most of.
Wow.
And it is now, I don't drink it myself because I don't need it. But the people that need it keep coming back. And it was a funny story. There were two men that came into the store one time, and they worked together, and they bought the ADHD tea, and they took it back to their office, and they drank it, but they gave it to a woman that was working in the office as well. And the next day she was in my store, and she says to me, what manner of witchcraft is this? when she heard what she said, she about died. It was hysterical. And it is, but what, just the one cup changed the whole afternoon for her.
Wow.
And it was, so that was kind of funny, to me. And like I said, she was totally mortified with the question when she realized what kind of store this was. And, but it was, calmed her down, and that's okay. Yeah. But, maybe something like that would help.
Yeah.
It is to like focus the behavior a little bit. I don't have any children in school anymore. I do have grandchildren and great-grandchildren that are in school. And pretty much everybody knows my proclivities, okay? And it is, I put your name on the window of a witch store, and pretty much everybody figures you're a witch. And it is, and my grandkids all talk about me. So every single teacher that the kids have had has been aware that I'm a witch. And it is interesting to me how some of the teachers respond to that. And on the whole, it's a very positive thing. One of my grandchildren I think she was in first grade, they were writing about one of their family members, and so she chose to write about me. And it was, the teacher went to my daughter and said, "Is your mom Wiccan?" And my daughter kind of immediately got defensive. And she said, "Yes." And the thing that was interesting is the cousins both went to the same school. One was in first grade and one was in fifth grade. And so she immediately responded with, the school has been very supportive of her cousin who is claiming the same path. And if this is going to cause a problem, then we need to know it right away. And the teacher immediately backed off and says, no problem. And it is, so I think that as more and more people come out of the broom closet and say that they're pagan, I think that you're going to see a change, but it's going to be a slow change. Mm-hmm. And you are being offered the opportunity to be part of that change, mm-hmm. by going and talking to the teachers and say, hey, this is what happens in our house. Mm-hmm. I mean, you don't have to claim that you're a witch or anything, but you're claiming that not all children are the same, just like not all adults are the same.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
some kids and people and adults, all people are emotionally different and they absorb things differently. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the weather with the moon and the weather It's like I'm a barometer.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I don't know what to do with it. I know, but I don't know, is it the moon that's giving it to me, or it's just the atmosphere? What's odd to me, well, not odd, I didn't know about it, that the tides affect the moons because I didn't look into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I get really, really itchy for weeks before the weather will change. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
know the weather is going to change. I can't prevent this from happening. I don't know how, but I'm not sure. Is that the weather? Is that the moon? Now you've thrown in tides on me. So, but with school, it's fine. It's okay. It's knowledge, right? Everything is knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But in
Well, and I
school,
think, yeah, I mean, it's everything is connected.
mhm.
Just, I mean, absolutely everything is connected. If the bees die, we're going to die because we won't have any pollinators, and so we won't have any food.
Mhm.
It is, it's the butterfly effect, you know. It's if or ripples in a pond. We're all connected, and some of us are just more sensitive to that than others. And it is, I feel the energy in the air around me. People that come in here to this shop will say to me, oftentimes, depending upon how big of a rush they're in, they'll say, wow, the energy in here is amazing. And that's, I work hard on that. And it is in keeping the energy positive and good. And I've had people come in here and open up the door and step in the door and just stay in the doorway and look at me and said, I have had a horrible day. I needed to breathe your air. Okay.
Breathe away.
Yeah. There's Jimmy John's has a sign that I just really want. And it says free smells.
Yeah.
And I just look at that and I think, I want that sign in here because I think that would be great. But it is the energy that surrounds us actually makes a difference in our day. It is, and I mean, if you know you're getting twitchy, take a skull cap, moderate that stuff. You're going to have a much easier time of it. If mom's having a bad day, everybody's having a bad day.
True that.
Exactly.
And it is, and if mom is having a great day, generally everybody's having a great day.
Mm-hmm.
It is, and so it's that kind of a thing. I have a tree outside the shop here, and when energy gets too high, I go outside and I put my hands on the trees and I just look inside, find the energy that isn't mine, and push it out of my hands and into the tree. Now, what the tree does is the tree takes that energy down its roots into the center of the earth, where the earth changes that energy to positive energy, feeds it back to the tree, and the tree gives us oxygen. So it's the cycle of life. And I take customers out there regularly. And I always tell them, I've been doing this for years. Anybody that's been around here knows that what I'm doing, and they are not going to think anything strange. And I have, and I have them put the hands on the tree, and I talk them through the process. And it is amazing what that'll do. And that would be something that I would try for you, is when the energy is, when it's an energetic thing that you're dealing with, go put your hands on a tree and ground and see if that doesn't help reduce the annoyance.
That's a cool idea.
That is cool. I'm barefooted a lot too, so I always am outside barefooted as long as the weather permits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it has to be a mindful thing, Terry, and not just. I mean, I'm barefoot all the time too, but there's a big difference when you actively push the energy out.
Okay, cool. That'd be good to do after readings because I'm exhausted.
Mm-hmm. You should be doing that after readings.
Nope. That's a
I
good to
mean,
know.
because, yeah, no, I mean, anytime you're interacting with other people's energies,
Mhm.
you need to get rid of those because they're not yours.
Right. True. Well, I tell my clients when I'm done, okay, you keep all those people with you. You keep all those family members with you. I don't need them hanging out. But that's my intent, that don't hang out with me.
But
Mhm.
you going and doing a physical
Right.
thing
I'm going to
for
start that. I'm going to
yourself,
try it. I'm going to try
that'll
it.
be good. And so,
It makes a big difference.
yeah, you'll
What
have to
amendment?
report. You'll have to report back and let us know
Okay.
how it works for you. But
I
just
will.
Lynn, while you were talking about moon phases, it reminded me of the Farmer's Almanac.
Mhm.
Because it goes over the planting, the moon,
Tides.
and I just feel
Mhm.
like this is how people did things hundreds of years ago,
Yes.
and
Absolutely.
that we have just gotten away from that, and it's so important to our lives today to get a handle on what's going on inside with us, and growing food and doing things more naturally at home as much as possible. And so finding out about moon cycles, like, I really don't know. I mean, I bought the Farmer's Almanac to do that, and then I never open it up and do it. So, you just basically going over the components, it makes sense when you say it, but it's not something that I live by, and it's not
Right.
something that I actively do. And I really want to try.
Mhm.
And so I just think it's a really interesting concept that as a society or a community or whatever, that we can start adapting back into our lives to just live a more organic and natural life with nature, with the ocean, with tides,
Mhm. And if we did that, the
yeah,
earth would be in much better shape as well.
Sure.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah. And
Now, Lynn, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm good. You continue.
Okay, I wanted to ask you, because I know our time is short today. I wanted to ask you about the rituals that you do for the moons. You do them in public.
I do. I do ritual in the park. So the new moon that is coming up on the 16th will be done at Langus Riverfront Park on the flats between Everett and Marysville. We do it at the pier, not the boat launch. So the first driveway is where you want to go. And what we do there is I talk about the moon and what kind of energy the moon is bringing in for this 2-week period. And so you have a good idea of what to expect. And then I give you a botanical of some nature. Sometimes it's a stone, sometimes it's a flower or a leaf. And it always is something that has to do with the energy of the moon that's coming in. And we put our hopes. So what you need to bring with you is a goal or an intent for growth during the next bit of time. And we put that energy into the botanical, and then we do a spiral dance around the pier, and we drop it into the river to let it go. And it is it's a real nice ritual. It takes about 20 minutes to a half an hour, and it's free. It's family friendly. Dress code is weather appropriate because it's outside.
Yeah.
And I don't want you dying of heat exhaustion or freezing to death.
Thanks.
Yeah, that just caused too much extra work. So that's what we'll be doing on the 16th.
Okay.
Now, the full moon on the 31st, which will be the blue moon, we'll be talking about a blue moon, and we'll be talking about the other energies with the moon. And then there's a labyrinth at Wiggum's Hollow Park on 10th and Pine in Everett.
Mhm.
And we will walk the labyrinth. Now, what you need to bring for that is on a piece of paper, you write down something you no longer want in your life. Now, nobody is going to see it, so you don't need to be worried about that. And if it's something that you are really emotionally involved in, use harsh language. Don't control the penmanship so that it's beautiful. If this is, we're trying to release and get this stuff out. And it is, when we get to the center of the labyrinth, there's a fire at the center, and you burn the paper.
Cool.
And then once we've done that and done the release, then we will walk the labyrinth out. So walking in the labyrinth, you're supposed to be thinking about how it's going to feel when you let go.
Mhm.
And then walking out, you think about it's gone and how much better I feel.
That's really cool. Like the intention is so important.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what time is those normally?
Oh, they're at 6 o'clock.
Oh,
They're
both
always at
times.
6 because we have to work around the parks rules.
Mhm.
And it is on the night of. Now, if on my Facebook page, there are events for an event notice for each one of the moons from now until the end of the year. If you look at your calendar, you have to know where your calendar was printed, because there's a 3-hour time difference between the East Coast and the West Coast. And so if the moon is at its peak at 11 o'clock at night, then the full moon is on 2 different days, depending upon where you are in the country.
That makes sense on my calendars. I have 2 different calendars, and one's always a day off from the other sometimes. And I'm like, wait a minute, my book says this.
Yeah, that's because the time of the moon is right around midnight.
Oh.
And so that's where that goes. The other thing that you can do, which is real easy, is just simply Google moon cycles for Seattle in
There's
2023.
too. There's an app you can put on your phone, and you put in your time zone, and it'll map the whole thing out for you, and it'll like pop up and tell you tonight's a new moon or whatever, which is really nice. I have one of those.
I have
Oh,
one of
that is
those.
nice. Mm-hmm.
Mine is phases of the moon.
You do what?
Yeah, I typically go outside and look up.
Okay.
Well, some are better at this than others. Right? So
well, that's really
interesting.
exciting. This show is going to come out on Friday the 18th, so we're going to miss that 16th event you're having, but viewers or anybody who's interested, the 31st, this will come out, so they'll be able to go to that. And do people register with you then?
No, just show up.
Just show up. Cool.
Mm-hmm. I'm there, and we do this rain or shine. It's a good time, and you're meeting a lot of people that are of like mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seriously going to try this. I'm going to look at my book as soon as I'm done to see if I can make it out on the 31st. And I just would like this, I think it would be fun to do it. It's all intent. It's just all positive. I like that. Letting go of stuff. I'm there.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Generally, what we do is once you put your intent in, or your paper, your release in the fire, then you step over to me and I will smudge you so that anything left from that intent is pushed out as well.
Cool.
Yeah. I've gone on several retreats, and we always do rituals like that on the retreats. And there's just something so refreshing about it, and you feel like you took a step towards something that's important to you, whether it's releasing or working on something to bring into your life. It's like an intentional step to make your life better. And Lynn, you talking about the moon cycles just like illuminates the fact that I could be doing this on my own all throughout the month. I don't have to wait for a retreat to be doing these things. I can do them at home and make it part of my life.
And just small steps. It doesn't have to be something huge and elaborate.
Right. That's really interesting.
And I'm going to be checking out my trees.
Definitely do that. It is.
I want to see a difference. I want to see, because I have never done it. And I should be mindful of it, because I say I'm an earthy person. So I will try that.
It is. I will tell you that typically when I take people out there, they come in much more cool, calm, and collected, and they comment on it. Wow, why wasn't I doing this before?
Right.
It's funny because when we go hiking, or like when I go to Hawaii, I'm always wanting to hug the trees, and I do. And I don't think nothing of it. I just want to feel their energy. I'm not thinking per se of giving up the energies that shouldn't be with me, but that's my intent going to be going forward. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Cool. Well, Lynn, is there anything else about moon cycles or rituals or anything that you want to add that we don't know about? Any interesting facts?
If you do magic, if you put a bowl or a jar of water out in the moon, it then becomes moon water, and it's charged with the moons. So you can use that moon water to clean in your house and bring that moon energy in, or you can use it for spell work. And if you have put like a lid on it, you can drink it, make a tea with it.
Oh, cool.
It is, and the other thing is, if you use crystals, you want to take your crystals out and put them in the full moon to recharge them, because they're constantly attracting energy as well, and that will clear them and charge them. Now you have to be a little bit careful, because there are some stones that you cannot put out where there's like heavy dew or rain. So like selenite, you would not want to do that with. Black tourmaline, you would not want to do that with. It is, but your quartz and jaspers and agates and things like that, you can put them out, and if they get wet, it doesn't matter.
Okay. And that's easy to look up too, like the soft and porous ones are probably a no. So
yeah, I wouldn't put turquoise out either. So I'm sitting here thinking through my head here, but yes, you could easily look it up online. There's a lot of good books about crystals as well.
Okay, cool.
I have moon water I have the jars that have the crystals in them. And they're lined up in my windowsill. I do it on the new moon and the full moon with whatever my intent is. And then I drink it like in the next morning, and I drink it with the intent that I had. And like I have a rose quartz, I have a citrine one. I don't know. I have another one, but I'm not too sure what it is. But I have a smoky quartz one. But that's what I do. I line them all up.
Okay, so just a word of caution on here. Some stones are poisonous. The ones that you just listed are not. But malachite, which is a prosperity stone, if you were to put it in the water and drink the water, you would be slowly poisoning yourself.
Good to know.
So that's another thing to look up before you
poisonous stones. Do not drink poisonous stones. Disclaimer right here.
Well, cool. Lynn, can you tell everybody where to find you?
I am at 1905 Hewitt Avenue on the corner of Oaks and Hewitt in North Everett. I don't have a big sign, but I am right across the street from the Angel of the Winds will call window. So, and once you find me, you usually keep it in the mind where I'm at.
Awesome. I'll list your Facebook and any other ways to find you down in the comment section as well. So for anybody who wants to go visit Lynn, she has herbs. She is so knowledgeable. Are you usually there all the time?
If the door's open, I'm here. I'm the only one that works.
I mean, like, it's not like employees are there and you're not there. people can come in and ask you questions and stuff like
Yes,
that.
anytime. And I'm here always.
Okay. Cool. You got
It's been
anything,
amazing.
Terry?
No, it's just been great. Thank you. We have been meaning to have you on for a long time. So I'm glad we finally got you on and our time schedules all matched.
I'm glad too. This has been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll have to
cool.
have you back on again because you have different little sections of knowledgeable things. I just love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Well, all right. Bye.
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 From my heart to yours, I love you.
Mwah.